Hello, everyone. I'm Mimi Lichtenstein, and welcome back to Adventures in Luxury Travel. Today, I am very excited because we have another Latin American country, some of my favorites, and Santiago Martinez is here today from Gentian Trails, and I'm super excited to have you on. Welcome, Santiago.
Hello, thank you so much. It's I'm so happy to share all these destinations we have in Ecuador and have the privilege to talk to you, and to your clients and people who's interested in this beautiful country.
Well, I agree. And I'm excited because a lot of people think about the Galapagos. Some people might not even know it's in Ecuador because they think of it as its own destination. But Ecuador has so much more than the Galapagos. And today we get to dive into a little bit of the different places that you can go. So as we begin, do you want to give us an overview of kind of the different regions of Ecuador that people would be interested in visiting?
Absolutely. That'd be fantastic. Well, Ecuador, it's you have in the map. It's on the right below part of the map. We have just a little spot. That's Ecuador. Yeah. Yet, being one of the smallest countries in South America, we are ranked among the 10 mega diverse countries in the world. We have 14 indigenous nationalities. We have Afro-Ecuadorians. We have mestizos, and we have four amazing regions, all of them different, totally different, each one from the other, which makes it so interesting and so inspiring and amazing, because in such a small country to find so much variety, is just astonishing. So on the left side, on the map above, you have a map of Galapagos in the corner. Yeah, that's Galapagos Islands, one of our four regions, or four worlds, as we call in Ecuador. Galapagos is located about 600 miles offshore the mainland. And well, that's the gem, our jewel, in terms of nature, in terms of tourism, in terms of scientific, investigation. It's fantastic. Of course, most people come to our country, because of Galapagos, and then they start rediscovering or discovering, the regions. Like, then we go, in our imaginary trip to the coast. Yeah, the coastal area of Ecuador also is fantastic. Of course, since we are in the Pacific Ocean, the water always is warm. And on the coast, you also have some amazing ecosystems, like cloud forest, a little bit of cloud forest, a little bit of rainforest, beautiful beaches, archaeological sites, places, where they make amazing textiles. Panama hats, are made in Ecuador. Shouldn't be called Panama hats, but are made on the coastal area of Ecuador. And the gastronomy, well, name it, the best ceviche of South America. Well, I hope Peruvians and Mexicans won't, will be agree with me, no?
I'm sure that they would agree with you. Santiago, I just made a shrimp ceviche this week, and it reminded me how much I love it. So I must come down and have some.
Yes, that's our iconic ceviche. And then in the center of the map, we have the Andes of Ecuador. Well, I don't know. I'm a Highlander, so that's one of my favorite places, actually, despite that I have lived in Galapagos, in the jungle, everywhere. But the Andes of Ecuador are amazing. We have more than 85 volcanoes. It's one of the regions with more volcanoes in the world, versus the size of the territory. Four of them active. And there was this scientist that came to our land in 1800s, Alexander von Humboldt, who named it the Avenue of the Volcanoes. What an amazing name, because it's true,
Yeah.
And in the Andes Mountains, we have most of our important ethnographical groups, indigenous groups. We have beautiful valleys, waterfalls, UNESCO sites, like Quito and Cuenca. Quito, by the way, was declared the first UNESCO site, the first World Heritage, imagine, yeah? And then it's Krakow in Poland, and so and so. Of course, indigenous markets, alive cultures, beautiful lakes. It's just fantastic. Then on the right side of the map, you have the Amazon Basin. Amazon Basin of Ecuador also, it's considered very attractive. Why? Because it's one of the less depredated rainforest in South America, which means that
Mhm.
the quality of the jungle, it's amazing. We still can see, I mean, lots of mammals, birds. Yeah. In terms of biodiversity, as I was saying, imagine we have more than 8% of the orchids of the world. We have 4,500 varieties, species of butterflies, 1,700 species of birds, and name it. No? And
Yeah.
still in the Amazon basin, not just as nature, but as people, it's people. We have these groups that are still living, almost like in the Stone Age, if you
Yeah.
want to see it from the anthropological side.
And Santiago, real quick, because we're going to dive into some of the photos too. I know a lot of people, when they're coming to Galapagos, the two big cities are Quito and Guayaquil.
Yes.
And we'll dive into those a little bit and then some of the coastal areas. But how about we start with some beautiful pictures from the Galapagos?
That's great. Oh, Galapagos is so beautiful. There
Right?
we have, the blue-footed boobies.
Yeah.
Well, I bet that you haven't seen, blue-footed boobies before in other places. Just in Galapagos, in La Plata Island, in Ecuador. Those are very iconic birds, and very attractive.
And I would say, I think one of the reasons that the Galapagos is such a great destination for people of all ages is it does have, the history and the evolution aspect of it. It has wildlife, it has water sports, it has, active, people can be active on the ground, on the islands, or in the water. And for me, when I'm planning trips for families, I love unconventional accommodation, wildlife, and water. And so you guys have all of those. So when you're looking, and people are thinking to come, it's just so much more than just a vacation, right? It's like a immersive learning experience, I think, right? Look at these
Yeah,
guys.
no, absolutely, absolutely. Especially for families, it's so educational
Yeah.
and fun. Yeah, and fun because to be on a cruise in Galapagos or staying in a hotel and do the islands, the Central Islands. I mean, it's besides to be the experience to be so close to nature because animals there are so fearless of people, as you see that boy with the sea lions. Yeah,
Yeah.
it becomes a learning experience because our guides, are scientists. Yeah, so it's so much fun, and the place is so pristine.
Mhm. And I think just for those people who are listening on the podcast, the pictures we're showing are, of course, of the gorgeous, beautiful animals, the seals. There are sharks, there are hammerhead sharks, there are lizards and iguanas. And I don't think I have a picture of it, but, giant tortoises. It's just teeming with wildlife. And so every day you're seeing new wildlife, you're in the water with them, so many, amazing opportunities to be close observing them and learning from these amazing scientists. What about for people who are thinking, I want to go to the Galapagos, but I don't know if I want to do a land-based trip where I stay in a hotel and just go off each day in a boat to go explore, or if they want to go on a ship for the whole trip, like more of a cruise on either a yacht or a bigger Lindblad type ship. How do you suggest people think about which one's better for them?
Yeah, well, it depends. For instance, yeah, as you mentioned, we have these two types of trips, to visit the Galapagos. One is staying in one of the eco lodges, in either in Santa Cruz Island or Isabela or Cristobal, and then visiting the Central Islands and then come back to the hotel. For instance, that will be ideal for families with small children. Why? Because I mean, you come back to the hotel and you have more freedom and more space, I would say, especially for the children. Yeah, whereas you have seen, you have done quite a couple of navigations to visit the Central Islands, but normally it's more comfortable for families. Yeah, also if you are seasickness, and you don't want to spend the whole 5, 6, 7 days on a boat, it will be ideal as well just to stay, in a hotel, an eco lodge, and then just visit for a few 3, 4 hours, the Central Islands and on a boat, and then come back to the mainland. Of course, cruises are ideal for people who are really keen in nature, yeah, and want to experience, what is to live aboard, because also that's amazing, if you live aboard with other people and navigate at night and then go to the different sites, that would be ideal. Honeymooners, for instance, love as well, to be on board of a boat.
Mm-hmm. And I think, there's a lot of different types of boats. So if you're a multi-generational family, you can absolutely charter, a small yacht yourself for Catamaran, Or if you are a bigger group, right, you can go out on a little bit bigger one, or you can actually just get an individual room on a smaller boat, or you can get a room or several rooms on like a Lindblad cruise, which I believe the size of theirs, is it about 100 people? What are the sizes of theirs? Yeah.
That's also a very good point that you mentioned. The different sizes of the boats. Yeah, because you have in Galapagos boats capacity for 12 people, 16, 20, 48, and up to 100 people. Yeah, so. Personally, I love the smaller boats, 16 capacity catamarans, because it's more adventurous. You feel like in an expedition. And of
Yeah.
course, all of those are expedition vessels. Yeah. But if you want a little bit more comfort, more social areas, and so presumably, bigger boats would be fine, 20, 48. Yeah. And of course, even up to 100 people. No?
Mm-hmm. Well, some people who listen frequently know that chartering catamarans is one of my favorite type of family vacations. So we've done it in 3 different places in the world, but never in the Galapagos. So I'm going to have to put that on my personal list. We could talk about the Galapagos for an hour, but given that our show, is not that long and we have other areas to talk about, let's talk about a few other places, and then we'll circle back and talk about some of the gorgeous hotels and ships that there are throughout the Galapagos. So here's a beautiful bird from up in the cloud forest. So the Galapagos are not the only place that have gorgeous wildlife. Do you want to give us a little bit of an overview of what people do up in the cloud forest?
Yeah, absolutely. I have mentioned it before, that Ecuador is ranked among the 10 mega diverse countries in the world. Nature definitely is our main jewel. Yeah. And we have different ecological niches and ecosystems. The cloud forest is one of it. Cloud forest, technically, it's a forest located between the rainforest and the highlands. Yeah. A very specific, ecosystem, and it's especially the best place for bird watching. Yeah, bird watching, as you saw the hummingbird over there. Botany, like we have had lots of trips, for orchids. Yeah, for people who love orchids, bromelias. Botany, it's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, also, activities like zip lining or canyoning, river rafting. Yeah, so those more adrenaline activities, are the best to be in the cloud forest.
Yeah, and this is a picture for those of you who are listening of the treetop bike at Mashpee Lodge, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Stunning, beautiful, eco lodge up in the cloud forest that has all sorts of activities that get you in the middle of nature, including this very cool bike ride through the sky, essentially.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, would you,
The
if you were
rainforest.
pairing this one, yeah, do you want to talk about this one? Tell us
Yeah,
about this one.
no, whatever. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you were pairing the Galapagos with any one of these destinations, would you suggest, I have my own opinion, that people do these destinations first and the Galapagos second, or the other way around, or does it depend?
Well, normally will be much better, to do Galapagos at the end, because of expectations. Yeah, because Galapagos is so special, despite that Ecuador is not just Galapagos. And when people come to Ecuador, they just are fascinated to Ecuador mainland. Yeah, but normally because of expectations, it's better to do Galapagos at the end.
I would agree. It's always nice to save the most special for the end.
Yeah,
You,
absolutely.
you don't want to go to Peru and hike Machu Picchu on your first day there. That's for sure.
No.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about this. So this is a picture of a river with some canoes decked out with quite a few seats for multiple people. Where's this one?
Yeah, well, that picture is the rainforest. No, rainforest of Ecuador, also unknown because people think that in South America the best rainforests are only in Brazil, Pantanal, or Iquitos in Peru, and so and so. But that's not true. I mean, Ecuador, we also have rainforests, and as I mentioned to you before, the quality of our rainforest is one of the best. Yeah,
Mhm.
with beautiful waterfalls as well. I mean, the amount of birds and mammals you see, it's amazing, and we have amazing lodges in the rainforest that you really have no idea with the comfort. How long it takes to go to the rainforest? From Quito, only 30 minutes fly. And then 2 hours by canoe ride to one of the lodges. So it's nothing, no? So you are there in the middle of the forest, even, sometimes visiting groups which are very, very how can I say, primitive, or authentic, because the way they live and so.
Yeah. And to arrive at your lodge by canoe, I mean, you can't beat that. That feels like you're an explorer for sure.
Absolutely. It starts, the adventure. Yeah. Yeah, there we have some of our picnic lunches. We love to do picnics. Of course, Ecuador is nature, so we specialize on giving this little touch of glamour, of course, in the most simple but sophisticated way in the middle of nowhere, no?
Love that. We were talking before we came on about how my client just had a picnic in Peru, and it was one of the most magical experiences he said he had. The food was amazing, the view was amazing, the setting, and I think the juxtaposition of being out in the middle of nowhere in nature, but having a beautiful table set with delicious food is just such a magical experience.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And Ecuador is for that, it's we are so much focused into nature, that a good picnic lunch will be just, the place, no?
Yeah.
And yeah, look at that picture. That's a beautiful Chimborazo volcano. Those are the Andes Mountains. As mentioned to you before, the Ecuadorian Andes are just fascinating. We have also, that's important to mention, one of the best circuit of roads in South America. Most of our roads are in excellent conditions. Even the off the beaten path roads, are in very good condition, so we can travel everywhere we want. And the Andes, of course, is not the exception. With 85 volcanoes, can you imagine? Some of them, with the snow-capped volcanoes like that one, Chimborazo, the highest mountain of Ecuador, 21,000 feet, where we have, many indigenous people living around, like the one over there, with the sheep. So it's
Yeah.
amazing, because it's not just nature; it's a life culture, it's anthropology, it's archaeology.
Yeah. And so this is probably just a local sheep herder who's out tending her sheep.
Yeah. That's in the Central Andes, and when you travel in Ecuador, that's what you see. When you go by car or hiking or horse riding. Horse riding is also one of the most amazing activities we have. There we have a picture that's great. A horse riding expedition from farm to farm in Ecuador is not just Quito, Cuenca, or villages in the mountains with colonial beautiful houses. One of our strengths are our colonial farms from 16th, 17th, and 18th century.
Mhm.
So we do, horse riding trips from farm to farm. You don't need to have experience. We have all the expertise and guides. In fact, I'm a horse lover, so that's why I love to do that. And you go through areas that nobody goes, nobody goes, isolated. You visit little villages and landscapes, just astonishing.
And I think, a lot of people like to normally get off the beaten path, right? And get off the tourist trail, and even more so now. And so this gives you an opportunity to do that, maybe by horseback or maybe by mountain bike. Another
Yeah,
great
mountain
option. Yeah.
biking is fantastic as well. Horse riding, four wheels, hiking. We have so many places, to do that. Yeah, and
Mhm.
and as I mentioned to you before, the variety we have in our country, it's amazing, and the advantage to be in such a small area allows you to travel in very short periods of time, to different areas, meet different people, ecosystems, and so. Especially right now, that you don't want to really be on a plane all the time or traveling, from here and there. You need different experiences in the shortest distances, and maybe in a short period of time as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I love this next picture because it's of a local market, and that's another one of my favorite things to do when exploring other places, because it gives you such a great idea of what, the true culture is like, right? So you can go there, you can just observe, or maybe you can buy some fruits and vegetables, or perhaps a chicken, it looks like in this particular one.
Yeah.
How integrated, how important are markets to sort of everyday life in Ecuador?
Oh yeah, no. Markets are very important. Is the central social life of our indigenous people in the mountains, in the jungle, and in the cloud forest. Yeah, we have markets every day. And we have also a couple of very interesting textile markets as well. Otavalo is one of it. It's considered one of the most famous in South America, because we have weavers. We have amazing weavers. But to me, the food markets are the best, because are so authentic. They really keep this essence. To see these people, and in some markets they even barter. It's amazing, and that's
Mhm.
what we want to show you. That's the thing that you want to see, huh?
Yeah, I agree. Um, All right, then let's transition over to the coast of Ecuador. So obviously Galapagos are islands, so they're surrounded by water, but there's also beautiful parts of the coast. And we'll touch on later a boat that actually I think goes up and down the coast. But tell us a little bit about, what is it like? Is there surfing? Is it beaches that you would lounge in? What is it like on the coast? What do people do?
Yeah, actually, the Ecuadorian coast also is a fantastic place, unknown really, because everybody goes to the coast because of these idyllic beaches you have in the Caribbean or the Mediterranean Sea, and so. But the attraction of our coast is focused to different ways. It's focused to the archaeological sites. We are the owners of the oldest culture in America, Valdivia, that goes back 4,000 years before Christ. People go to the coast to these virgin beaches, where there is nothing around but palm trees. Yeah, we don't have really a really really good infrastructure, but that also makes it interesting. Whale watching from June to September. Yeah, all these little fishermen villages along the coast. Gastronomy is amazing. Well, there we have a picture of the Panama hats, which are made in Ecuador. Yeah, I can talk about the story of that, but it will take so much time. Um, and what else? Well, I mean,
And
go
I
ahead,
think
please.
the chocolate, right? Chocolate, there's a lot of chocolate on the coast.
Yes, the farms, I was going to say that the farms on the coast, especially the cocoa farm and the banana farms, Ecuador, presumably, I don't know if you know, but Ecuador has one of the best cocoa in the world, and we make since the last 15 years one of the best chocolate in the world. And there you have a chocolate tasting, experience.
Mm-hmm.
Toak. The small bar of chocolate of Toak is worth $300. They only sell it in Tokyo and London and New York. Yeah, so you can see up to what stage the quality of our chocolate can go.
Mm-hmm. Wow,
And the
that is.
chocolate tasting experience is fantastic. Yeah.
Well, then let's touch on also some other type of experiences, culinary experiences. Lots of people love to eat well when they're on vacation. They also love to learn how to cook in other places. And I know there are a couple of exclusive experiences that you have, one of which has to do with food. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. We love, gastronomical experiences because South America is not only Peru that is famous because of the food, but you don't know the Ecuadorian food. I mean, we have so much variety because of these four worlds. We have these four regions. Yeah. And we are focused on that. And we have this very interesting gastronomical experience. We have one, it's called cooking classes with my best friends. Actually, he's my best friend. He's a chef, but we wanted to do it. We want to make it immersive because you can have cooking classes with the best chef of Argentina, of Paris, or whatever. This is a chef, that will go with the clients to the market, buy, all the produces and things, and then we go to his house with his family, the dog. We cook in his kitchen. Ecuadorian food we eat in his dining room, and so it's very very immersive, no. But also on the other hand, we have all the gastronomical experiences like ancestral food in the mountains with the indigenous people. We
Mhm.
have these couple of indigenous women that they teach us, about ancestral food, and we take classes with them too, no?
Sounds fabulous. I'm getting on a plane tomorrow. I'm ready to come.
Please do.
Um, and as far as some over-the-top experiences, many of them include helicopters. What would you say if someone was going to take a helicopter up in Ecuador? Where would be the places that they would want to do it?
Well, you know something, we have one helicopter trip which is absolutely fantastic. It's flying over the Avenue of the Volcanoes. No, you start in Quito and then you do the Avenue of the Volcanoes by helicopter, by heli, and it's amazing, to see all these volcanoes and the Ecuadorian Andes. Of course, helicopters in Ecuador is a very good way of traveling, and if the country is so small that you can travel by car in short period of time, imagine by helicopter. No, so
Mhm.
you can go to the cloud forest, to the rainforest, anywhere. But the most fascinating thing will be to do the Avenue of the Volcanoes by helicopter, and then
Okay.
land a helicopter in front of Cotopaxi volcano and have this deluxe picnic with ancestral Andean food.
Sounds perfect. Um, for Quito and Guayaquil, When someone's thinking about how they're coming into the country, sometimes it has to do with where they get a connection and where they land. But, how do you suggest people think about, like in Guayaquil or Quito, is there one reason to have your sort of, night layover in one versus the other?
Definitely. Well, if you don't have much time and you're basically going to visit only Galapagos, presumably Guayaquil will be the place. Land there and then fly to Galapagos and come back to Guayaquil. Maybe stay in Guayaquil a couple of nights. The city is very interesting. It's the biggest port city of Ecuador, and not far from there are some beautiful farms as well. In the tropical area. And then we rather normally our guests to come to Quito because Quito is in the Andes Mountains, and from Quito you can go to the cloud forest, you can go to the Avenue of the Volcanoes. Well, actually, Quito is in the Avenue of the Volcanoes. You can go to the jungle, So you have all sorts of activities and experiences that you can do having as a base Quito. But besides Quito, is known as the Florence of South America. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Isn't that beautiful? It's one of the most beautiful colonial areas in South America because it's concentrated just in one area. Yeah. And we have, of course, buildings and houses and monasteries and churches from 16th, 17th, and 18th century.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Well, it's, if everybody had unlimited time, they could hit both of them. But those are good tips for which one makes more sense, depending upon how long you're going to be there. And what about your favorite? You want to share a few of your favorite, maybe hidden gem restaurants or your favorite cafe in one of those towns or in the Galapagos, or give us a few insights from your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Gastronomy in Ecuador, it's unknown. And nowadays, with the new chefs, we have the new Ecuadorian cuisine, it's fantastic. And Quito, I would say, has the best restaurants of Ecuador. Cuenca also, yeah, and that order, Quito, Cuenca, and Guayaquil. For instance, in Quito, we have one which is called Quito. This is a young chef that has a little place and an open kitchen, and he makes this new Ecuadorian cuisine, but with ancestral recipes. So these crazy things, very creative, yeah. There is another one which is also very, very is well known, not just in Ecuador but in South America, called Zazu. Yeah, Zazu. Nuema, which is ranked among the 50 best restaurants of Latin America. Yeah, that's in Quito. In Cuenca, we have this restaurant called Dos Sucres, that they specialize on the new Ecuadorian cuisine as well, in a beautiful old colonial house, and the chef comes out and do all these beer tasting and things. It's lots of fun. No, in Galapagos, basically we have one, which is at the Angermeyer Point, located in Santa Cruz Islands, yeah. And then in general terms, talking about gastronomy, since we have, the 4 regions of Ecuador, we can have all sorts of the best seafood, from the coast, from the Andes Mountains, we have, again, all sorts of products, and also from the jungle. So imagine to mix all of these for the new Ecuadorian cuisine, we need you to come and try it.
Absolutely. I'm sure some people are going to be inspired to sign up and plan a trip. Okay, well, let's touch on, what's amazing about the Galapagos is not only is it sort of wildlife and all of this, ecological fabulousness, but there's also fabulous hotels. Somebody did it right when they were planning some of these. So here's an example of one called Finch Bay, which is a popular one for people who'd like to have a more luxurious place to stay while they're there. And if you want to jump in and add in any thoughts on any of these, feel free. And the Galapagos Safari Camp, I love this because they created this camp modeled after the safari lodges of Africa, but put it in the Galapagos. So I think it's the only one there of this kind. And for those of you who are listening, this is a stunning picture of a couple people out on a wooden terrace overlooking a gorgeous sunset. So who wouldn't want to end their day that way, right?
Absolutely. There is another one now in Isabel Island called Scalesia Lodge as well.
Okay. And it's also a tented camp?
Yes, it's a tented camp also. Yeah,
okay.
They work together, different owners, but work together on the same concept.
Okay, good to know. So that, that might have slightly more primitive accommodations than some of the others. And then the Monte Mar Villas are, clearly very contemporary looking, set. Most of these, none of these are essentially beachfront, right? They're all removed from the beach. There's nothing beachfront. But those are beautiful, and I happen to love Pakai. So this is a picture of one of the rooms with, floor to ceiling windows overlooking a gorgeous sky and scenery. I imagine you've been there before.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's an amazing, eco lodge. I mean, it's really, really high end. Yeah.
Yeah, and stunning. And we have a few pictures of it because I love it so much. Sitting outside in this gorgeous pool or by the fire pit late at night, I can just imagine a family really enjoying being back at the hotel after a day out exploring somewhere or in the water, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And then here's one. Tell us a little bit about, here's one of the, we have a few boats that we're going to show you, but one of the smaller boats that, how many passengers does this one hold? 16?
Yeah, that one is the elite catamaran and holds 16 people and eight double cabins. I was mentioning to you that I love catamarans because they are very stable on one side, big social
Agreed.
areas, and the cabins, especially of these elite and endemic, both are sister boats, are very spacious, and they have like windows from floor to ceiling, one guide, a cruise director. So it's more, you really feel that you are on an expedition, and that's the feeling that we want to give.
Agreed. And I think I agree with you on the catamaran. I do love the stability of it. And, you could easily fill this up if you were going on a multi-generational trip. So it'd be private for your family, and just have somebody dedicated to you and what you want to do. Actually, quick question for you. So I know that when Galapagos, Lindblad and other bigger boats, they have their sailing plans set a year plus in advance. And this is what they're doing. They're going from this island to this island. They're going west, they're going east, etc. How does it work for smaller boats like this or catamarans? Do they have more flexibility in swapping up destinations, or do they have to have like a flight plan, but for a boat set ahead of time?
Yeah, all boats and vessels in Galapagos, they have to follow and be approved by the Galapagos National Park. So all of them have, set itineraries. Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, 4, 5, 6, 8 day, itineraries, but those are, approved by the national park. So doesn't matter the size, and that's to avoid, of course, like too much cargo capacity in different areas. That's why they have to follow that rule. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Well, here's a few more pictures of some boats that are more traditional boats, not a catamaran. And I love this picture. This is from the Eco Ventura. I think I was at a conference with them maybe a year ago, and I remember seeing this and I loved it because for kids, it fits 3 people in one stateroom, and one of the beds comes down from the ceiling, making a bunk bed. So it looks kind of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. They have amazing boats, the origin and the theory.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. So, for somebody who thinks they'd be roughing it on a boat, just take a look at a picture like this and you won't be. The kids can be in this room. You can even have a better room next door.
Yeah.
And then we'll circle back to the Mashpee Lodge, what we talked about earlier, where they had that treetop bicycle. And here's a picture of it. You can see it's smack in the middle of the rainforest. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Mashpee?
Oh yeah, definitely. Mashpee actually is in the cloud forest. No, it's in the cloud forest. It's about 3 hours from Quito, and the area is very, 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 very remote. No, it has one of the highest biodiversities of Ecuador because it's located on the Chocó area. And but it's amazing because it's like a space nave that landed, in the middle of a very, very remote area in the mountains, no? And of course, imagine what to be in such a remote area, but to have such a luxury, in terms of food, accommodation, facilities like the zip lining, the cable car, to observe the forest from the height, as you go through the cable car or the zip lining is just an experience, no?
Agreed. And then you have, beautiful dining room like that one. And I have several clients who love beautiful bathtubs with gorgeous views. And they happen to have both of those. So you're not roughing it if you're up there in the forest, that's for sure.
Yeah, you don't have to close the curtains. You can take a bath
No.
and you feel like you're in the middle of the forest.
And maybe a toucan flies by or something. And then tell us a little bit about La Selva Lodge.
Yeah, well, in the Amazon basin, we have 4 lodges, which are amazing. La Selva is one of it. Actually, I used to guide in La Selva 30 years ago. I was one of the first guides, and it was
Yeah.
fantastic. And to see the evolution of it is amazing. La Selva also has an excellent quality. You fly from Quito to Coca, 30 minutes, and then 2 hours canoe ride, and then 1 hour paddling, to the lake where La Selva Lodge is located. Yeah. Presumably, one of the strengths of La Selva, besides the quality of the jungle, is it is the spa they have there. So it's great after a hike in the jungle, go to the spa and have a massage and have a nice sparkling wine after that. Fantastic.
Perfect. Sounds lovely. And then I love the visual of this one because it's so unique. Tell us a little bit about
Yeah, Napo
go ahead.
Wildlife Center. Yes, Napo Wildlife Center also is one of my favorites because first of all, it's managed by the community, the Quichua Indians. Yeah, and they have built that amazing tower you see on the back, located in Anyangu Lagoon. And this one has the best quality of jungle of all because it's located on Yasuni, which is a reserve of the biosphere, and they are allowed to be there because the indigenous community of the Quichuas are there. So besides nature, we can also visit, these people, in their homes and have a little bit of this anthropological touch from the indigenous people from the jungle.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it looks beautiful. It almost looks, a little bit Polynesian to me with those
Yeah,
thatched roofs that come to the point.
it's very
But
Polynesian.
right, and very remote. So if someone wants to be remote, that's a great place for you. And Hacienda Azuleta, I know from knowing Clark Catula, he absolutely
Yes,
loves this property. Tell us a little bit about this one.
of course, Clark, a very good friend of mine. We both guides. That's why we know each other. Well, Zuleta is my favorite hacienda in the highlands of Ecuador. No, first of all, because it's not far from Quito, only 1 hour and a half, and second, because it's got so much of everything. History. Two members of the family were presidents of Ecuador. The house is from 17th century, so it's an old colonial house. Yeah, it's still a working farm, so you can participate all the activities. They have cows, they have sheep. The embroideries, the most beautiful embroideries because of the Suleteña Indians, and the gastronomy is just amazing. Mountain biking, condor project protection, spectacle bears you can see as well. So has everything you want to see.
Well, it looks beautiful, and I guess it surrounds maybe a courtyard. Is that how it
They
looks
have,
like?
yeah, they have 2 courtyards, big ones. All our haciendas in Ecuador from the colonial times have courtyards with a
Mm-hmm.
cross in the middle. That was very Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that we were conquered by the Spanish, so we still have this syncretism, which also makes so fascinating about our people and our land. To have the best of both sides, the indigenous
Yeah.
and the Spanish.
Yeah. Okay, great. And then Hotel Otavalo.
That's an amazing place too. The Hotel Otavalo, they renovated this Republican house from 18th century and built, the art is called Art Hotel Otavalo. Why
Mhm.
Art Hotel? Because the owners, they are art lovers. And inside the hotel, you have boteros. No, they have a huge collection of boteros that they have bought. So
Oh,
it's a very, very sort of like minimalistic hotel, very modern, with these in this old house. It makes a very interesting environment, and located in Otavalo village, where the famous Otavalo textile market takes place.
okay. So well located.
Yeah,
Um, and yes. Tell
that's the
us
same.
about this is where you just were. Is that right?
Yes, I was there yesterday and the day before yesterday because this is a new version or a new concept of hotel in Ecuador, and I was helping them, with some suggestions in terms of activities. So I went there, and that's called the Cotopaxi Sanctuary Lodge. We have 4 domes, yeah, like you have in Torres del Paine or in Alaska or so. On the foothills of Cotopaxi, the mountain there, beautiful. It's called is the highest active volcano in the world, and it's got also the main house with 4 suites. No, it's a very modern concept, of place, but surrounded of one of the most pristine natures of the Ecuadorian
Mm-hmm.
Andes.
Mm-hmm.
Activities like horse riding, mountain biking, four-wheel, fly fishing, mountain climbing, and also there are some interesting communities of indigenous people living there. So the best place to go as well if you like this kind of concept, 1 hour and a half of Quito.
Well, I love it because that's another thing that I like for families, unconventional accommodations, and a
Yeah.
dome would be included in that category.
Yeah, and you can mix, with staying there and a colonial farm. No.
Yeah, that would be a great combination. And so this is the new vessel that is going off of the coast of Ecuador. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, that's the Contiki. It used to be a diving ship. That's why it has, the diving flag there. But
Mm-hmm.
this gentleman, Charlie Nunez, a good friend, decided to develop something nice and high end on the coast of Ecuador because we don't really have very good hotels. So what we do is, what we're gonna do is. Charlie built this boat. It has 9 cabins. It's really high end. Yeah, so you live aboard, and then you visit the Ecuadorian coast. You stop, in private beaches, or you see archaeological sites, or you go to the cloud forest, or you go and have these ancestral gastronomical experiences, but always staying on the boat. And also the boat visits La Plata Islands, which is a small Galapagos. It's only
Mm-hmm.
2 hours from the mainland, and it's got exactly the same ecosystem of Galapagos, but in mini. It's a mini Galapagos. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
it's very interesting because it's not just nature; it's anthropology, it's archaeology, it's astronomy, it's nature, it's everything. No, so
Yeah.
that's going to be launched in about 3 months.
Oh, okay. Great. And then our last hotel, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about some takeaway tips. Casa Gengotena, which I know Clark Catula also loves. Tell
Also,
us a
yeah.
little bit about this one.
Yeah, the Colonial Quito is the perfect place for this kind of boutique hotels. As a high-end companies we are, DMCs we are, and also Mimi, of course, we love to use these amazing places. This house was restored, and it's been in business for almost 12 years. No, it's one of the best, if not the best, boutique hotel of Quito, located in the center of the colonial section. So you can walk to the churches, museums, and feel, the heart of the colonial Quito.
Hmm. Well, I love it. It's stunning. So I'm going to take that down. Let's talk a little bit about, a couple suggestions that you might have as far as seasonality specific to the Galapagos, let's say. Is there a bad time to go to the Galapagos, and is there a best time to go to the Galapagos?
Yeah, it depends. It depends. I mean, never is a bad time, to go to the Galapagos. It depends on what you really want to. Of course, normally people going to Galapagos, visiting Galapagos, is people who like nature. Yeah. The best months, for instance, to go to Galapagos will be from the whole year round, except from July to the end of September. Why? Because from July to the end of September, it's what we have the Garua season. It rains. Yeah, the water is colder than the rest of the year. But on the other side is the best time for divers because you have lots of plankton, you have lots of krill in the water. So
Mm.
lots of feeding frenzies, and the life in the ocean is really, really active. Of course, you have two types of cruises: diving cruises and naturalist cruises. Naturalist cruises is when you go and visit the islands and hike and do snorkeling, and go from side to side. Then the rest of the year, for the naturalist cruises will be okay. Nevertheless, you can also do from July to September. It's a little bit colder, but basically it's still the same.
Hmm. Okay, good insights. And then what about the Andes and the Amazon? Are those sort of opposite times that you'd want to be there?
Well, it's amazing, being Ecuador, such a small country, we have sort of a different seasons. Well, we are the equator line. At the equator line, we don't have seasons. So
Good
basically,
point.
it's what we call the rainy season and the dry season. That's it,
Yeah.
no? But for Ecuador mainland, whole year round will be absolutely perfect to visit. No, it's no problem. Nevertheless, in the highlands, maybe from May to October the best, because it's summertime and it's most of the time it's not. I mean, it's the beautiful blue skies, yeah, and doesn't rain. The rainiest season in the highlands will be April and May, but normally it rains late afternoon and at night, so it doesn't interfere with your visits. And then of course the rainforest always rains. It always rains in the rainforest. Cloud forest is the same, it's always a bit
It's
cloudy.
always cloudy.
But of course, but that's the ecosystem, I mean, that's the ecosystem itself, no?
Well, at least you don't have a problem with marketing. I mean, you tell people straight up front, it's the rainforest or the cloud forest, so they kind of know what to expect if they show up.
Absolutely. And each place has its own beauty.
Right. And then what about logistics of, getting to the Galapagos? I know there's different things that people have to take into consideration. Are there suggestions that you have for people as far as either planning ahead, for example, with, December timeframe and getting the approvals to go out there? What do you suggest?
Yeah, definitely. For December, you have to plan at least a year before you go, no? Because December is, we have lots of people going to Galapagos Islands. Galapagos Islands is a very popular destination from all over the world. So always try to plan with a few months ahead, before the date you're going. At least 3, 4, 6 months. And for December, maybe even a year, no? Logistically, I mean, to come to Ecuador is very easy from United States, especially from Atlanta, from Miami. It's only 4 hours. You only need the full vaccination doses, and to enter to Ecuador, and that's it. And then to go to Galapagos, you can fly from Quito or Guayaquil. From Quito, it's 40 minutes to Guayaquil, and then 1 hour and a half to Galapagos, or from Guayaquil, only 1 hour and 30 minutes to Galapagos Islands. We have daily frequency, so it's extremely easy to travel.
Yeah. And as we talked about earlier, if you are going to do the mainland and Galapagos, great to keep Galapagos for the last stop.
Yeah.
Well, Santiago,
Absolutely.
you are a wealth of information. I'm so appreciative that you are here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, no, thank you very much to give us this opportunity to talk about our beautiful country. And this is your home. Come and experience this exotic, beautiful, and pristine place.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, thank you so much. Take care.
You too. Bye bye.